Hi, today I'll be looking at this four-part harmony exercise. This is question 3 from a music literacy test. And so, yeah, let's see how we can this is obviously just one of the ways that we could complete this. First step, of course, is to check what the key is. So we can clearly see starting on a D, ending on a D. This is with two sharps. This is D major. So let's add that in. And the next thing I'll do is just number my whole melody line. So this is D is 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, B is a 6, and 5. And of course the reason we're doing this is to find any patterns that we can use that can really just help us get through this thing quickly. 5, this F sharp is 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Quite a lot of scale type passages here, so kind of thinking through those patterns. Also, before I start, I might want to have my other diagrams and things written out. I really like this one. This helps me a lot, and I can't always remember it, so it's good to just have it written on paper, ready to hand. I know some people like to have this list of what notes are in each chord of the scale. So in my tonic chord, I've got a D, an F sharp, an A, and D major. To be honest, I don't use this one much. I prefer to rely on my own, just know if you know the chords in the scales, that really helps a lot. This one possibly may be useful. This is telling us if I see the first note in the scale, what chords can use the first note. Well, I know tonic has a first note of the scale. I know a submediant and I know a subdominant also have a note 1 of the scale. And so that could help me when I'm busy with this. Right, so let's see. Are there any patterns here? Well, yes, there are. I know the 8-7-6. That's a good strong pattern. That is our tonic and then mediant and subdominant pattern. Great. Now connected to this, I've also got a 6-5-4, which I know is another pattern. So I'm going to make another box around those. And I know that is a passing 6-4 pattern. In this case, using on the level of the subdominant. So that helps because this is already a subdominant. If it wasn't, I may not have been able to use that pattern. But let's see. 6-5-4, which means the bass will be 4-5-6, which means it will start on subdominant as it is. So that's fantastic. So this is 4 and I've gone blank. 6-5-4, 4-5-6, so that is 1-6-4 and a 4-6. Right. And then I just have to finish these last two. So let's think. This is clearly a cadence point, so I'm looking for a cadence. Chord 6. Well, I can look over here. Chord 6, if I have note 6, then I'm either looking at submediant, subdominant, or supertonic. I know from my pattern here that I cannot use the submediant because 4 cannot go to 6. 4 can stay on 4 or it can go to 2. Those are my two options. I think let's do the 2. And we'll see if we need any inversions later. And then of course 5, I could either do 5, a 3, or a 1. If this is a cadence, then I need to have either a 1 or a 5. Well, 2 definitely doesn't go to 1, so it will make sense to go to 5. We're making progress. Let's go on to the second line. 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Well, the 3, 2, 1 I know is it makes a really good cadential 6-4. And I already know that that is a 1. That must be the 5, which means that this is the 1-6-4. So now I need to fill in the other things getting to it. And let's keep things pretty simple, remembering of course that this 1, 6, 4 and 5 count as a 5. No, that's not so easy to see on this paper. And so I'm looking for something here that can go to a 5, not to a 1. So what can go to a 5 that has note 4? Well, a 4 or a 2. I'm going to select, if I can find my my little cheat sheet over here, I'm going to select the 2. Then a 3 and a 5 and another 4. I think this is going to make sense if we use a tonic to begin with. Beginning of a phrase, makes sense to start on the tonic. Then a 4. I know that those work. And let's go with a tonic, but have a tonic 6. The reason for that is the tonic 6 means in the bass will be the third of the scale, which means that it's really close to the 4th. And in fact, let's come back to that same note in the bass. That'll give us a nice bass line. Okay. So we've got one passing 6/4, we've got another pattern there, and we've got our 3-2-1 cadential 6/4 over here. There is actually potential here for another cadential 6/4, and let's add that in. Over here where we've got a long note. It can't be done there, but it could be done within this one. We can replace the 5 with a 1-6-4-5. So let's do that. We're going to kind of imagine that this is a 5-5, and so we're going to call that a 1-6-4 and 5. All right, let's add our bass. Since we've got all our figuring, that will give us a bass line. So starting on a D, tonic. And I'm not going to draw in the stems yet. I want to make sure that I have everything right first. So I've got a D. Third, chord 3 is F sharp. Just said I'm not drawing in the stems, but I'll leave it for now. Then a G. All right, now here we can see that our bass is already getting quite high. And we know that this pattern moves upwards. And if this one moves down, this one also moves upwards. We're going to get a very high bass. We could have the G, the A, and the B up there. I've got already less than an octave between my soprano and my bass. That's just not going to work. So there are two options for this. Either, well, there's a few options. There's always a few options, right? I could take this D right down to the bottom here. I'm a bass singer. I know that I can't reach a D, so I don't like that option. I could drop this F sharp down. I may have problems with voice leading now that both voices are going down. I'm going to try and do a little bit of a cheat instead. I call it a cheat. It's not really a cheat. I'm going to have the G up there and then drop it down to a G. I know, again, as a singer, that an octave jump is something quite easy to hear compared to, say, jumping a 7th down or jumping a 6th down. I'll rather have within that chord have an octave jump. All right, then I can have my A is tonic 6/4 and submedian. Well, I know this is 4/5/6, so I know that that's a B. Chord 2. This one we hadn't decided yet if we are going to be using an inversion. Well, I know that this must be an A. And in fact, it can be a long A because both of those chords will have the same note in the bass, which means I need to find what I want to do here. And sticking close to both of those, it would make sense to have a 2 first inversion. I really am not keen to go down to the E. All right, that looks like a pretty good bass line. Not causing any problems. It's working in opposite directions to the soprano all the way, which is great. That is fantastic. Let's add those. stems in. We'll call that a finished bass line, assuming that we don't have to change any of these chords. All right, second line. Let's see. Tonic is back to the D. Theoretically, I need to look at the voice leading here, but I'm not too worried about it. It is a cadence point and then starting a new phrase, so if the voice leading isn't perfect, we can kind of get away with it. D, then the chord 4 is a G. I'd rather not go up. This one's going up, so I'll rather go down. Here's where we said we'd rather want to stay close. Tonic is D, F sharp, A. In first inversion, that means it's an F sharp. Supertonic, that is E, G, and B. In first inversion, that's a G. Also working very nicely, going against our soprano there. And here's our tonic 6/4 again, very similar to what we had up here. An A, another A in the bass, and finally up to the D. Also working very nicely against our soprano. Contrary motion for the win. And so now it really is just to find the middle notes. Cool, let's do it. Here's where things get interesting. Okay, we can really choose whatever way we want this to be. We've got a D and D, we need an F sharp, and we need an A. Well, I could have F sharp up here, or I could have F sharp there. I don't really like that. I could have A there, or I could have F sharp there. That seems to make the most sense. And A there. Let's get our first chord sounding nicely spaced. Let's see how that leads us on. Chord 3 in D major, F sharp, A, and C. I've got an F sharp and a C sharp. I need another F sharp, which makes sense there, and I need an A. Perfect. Keep the same notes. Brilliant. Chord 4 is G, B, D. I'm going to double the G, which F sharp is very close to the G. No, can't do that because I've got parallels between the alto and the bass line. Can't do that, which means the A will have to go to the G, and then all I need is a D. G, B, and D. Good, I remember that from my pattern. If I've memorized my patterns well, I remember that that needs to drop a third in the pattern. Okay, now I'm in my next pattern. This is the 6/5/4. I've already got 6/5/4, I've already got 4/5/6. What am I missing? 1/1/1. There it is, D, D, D. And I'm missing 4/3/4 if I remember my patterns correctly. Let's go and check. Let's make sure that our 1/6/4 has all the notes. It should be D, F sharp, and A with a doubled A. I've got a D, F sharp, and A, 2 A's. There we go. And have I still got a G, B, D chord here? G, B, D with a double G. Excellent. Now to finish the cadence. Supertonic in first inversion. So this is an E, G, B chord. I'm probably going to double the G. Well, I've got one G. There's another one straight away there. And E, G, B. So that one will go to an E. That's all looking quite nice. Now the 1/6/4 and 5. So tonic 6/4 is again D, F sharp, A with a doubled A. I've already got all the A's, so I need a D and an F sharp. That could go to the F sharp, which means that one's going to the D. That's not very nice. So let's send that one to the D, that one to the F sharp, which then resolves nicely, each of them coming down by step. Remember that this whole cadential 6/4 is purely decorative. It is not necessary, and so we're actually going from a chord 2/6 to a 5, which is an imperfect cadence. Lovely. There's our first line. Let's go and check if it has any problems. Let's see. Okay. We're looking for parallel fifths. We're looking for distance between voices. Not seeing anything yet. Leave a comment in the description if you see some parallel fifths. I've got a parallel sixth there, that's fine. I may have a direct fifth. I've got a leap, and I've got my step in the same direction to a fifth, but I don't think we'll be too worried about it. And all the rest looks fine. I can even slur those just for some extra effect. Okay, let's add our stems. Do not forget to add stems. When I was in school, it was the one thing that I always forgot to do, and I always lost marks. Really annoying thing to do. All right, good. First line. Let's try out the second line. We have, you know what, should we work from the back? Works just as well. Does it? No. Let's work from the front. So, tonic chord. I've got a D and an F sharp. I need another D and I need an A. Again, let's have a good, clear separation. D, D, F sharp, A. Now, chord 4. This is not in our patterns anymore. This is just working off our voice leading principles. Let's see. I've got a G, I've got a G. I need a D and a B. Well, that's easy enough. There's a D and a B will be close to that A. I've got a more than an octave there, but it's still okay because the bass and the tenor can have up till an octave and a fifth between them. In fact, we rather want a bigger gap between the octave and the tenor, the bass and the tenor. All right, that's chord 4, chord 1, 6, tonic 6, D, F sharp, A with an F sharp in the bass. I've got an A, I've got an F sharp, so I need 2 Ds. Well, there's one. And there's the other one. Bit of a jump in the tenor, but only a third. I think they can handle it for this once. Chord 2, 6. Chord 2 is E, G, B. I'm doubling the G. Well, I've already doubled the G, so I have to. E, G, and B. So let's double the G. I need an E. These are already together, they're doing the same note, so let's move that one up, E, G, and this one back to the B. That seems to work quite well. Remember here again, we've got a 2, 6 going to a 5, going to a 1. That's a nice perfect cadence. A 2, 6, 1 works even in jazz. So our chord 1 is D, F sharp, and A with a double A. I've got it. There's our movement down, so I need another A. Let's put the A over here. That's close. And a D over there, which will resolve down to a C sharp. Let's make sure of that. Chord 5 is A, C sharp, and E. A, C sharp, E. Lovely. And then our tonic chord, nice and simple. I've got a D, I've got a D. The rules say going from 5 to 1, T, Do. So C sharp must go to D. And now already I've got 3 Ds. Is that a problem? No, it is not. We are following the rules, and the rules say that T must go to Do. And so therefore, I have a tripled root. Which other note must I leave out then? Normally I would have a D, F sharp, and an A. I need to know that this this note is a major, this chord is a major chord. And so I cannot leave out the third. The third is what defines it as major, so I'll have to have that A going to an F sharp. That is a perfectly acceptable solution. Leave out the third, leave out the fifth, and have a tripled root. Especially for the end, that'll really solidify that we're in D major. However, there is another option. And I'm not saying either one is better, but because I have re do, or 2 going to 1 in the soprano, I am now allowed to not have that leading tone going to the tonic. I can instead have the leading tone going to the dominant note, or T goes to so. The reason for that is because that note is there just above it, our ears will automatically hear C sharp to D. And so we can then use that voice to go somewhere else, and without bugging the ear that we don't hear that do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. We don't have that problem anymore. Okay, let's go and check it out. Have we got parallels anywhere? Have we got voice problems? So often we need to check between the tenor and the alto. We tend to, raise the alto up, or the tenor comes down. But actually both of these are looking pretty good. Do they cross over? Sometimes we cross over, especially if the tenor goes high and the alto comes low. But no, they stay in good proximity to each other. There again we have same direction with a jump and a fifth. So theoretically that is direct octaves. But this seems to be the best way around this voice leading. Let's add in our stems. And finally, I will add this into Sibelius, and we can hear how the whole thing sounds.